Hello everyone, this is Chris Dew with eOne Solutions, and I want to welcome you to our session today on Popdock, which is an end-user query reporting tool that's going to change both your company and I think the way you use software for reporting going forward. We're going to start with an overview, and throughout this I'm going to cover 5 main points that will give you some real-world examples of how you can utilize this in your own organization. As we jump in, the very first point is this is an end user query tool. So what does that mean, right? This is something where you don't necessarily need to be an IT admin to do stuff. You don't have to have a PhD in analytics of business information to use this tool. This is something for everybody to use to get the data they need to do their job each day. And it's beyond that, it's just being very quickly have the capability of adding the columns and fields that you need, being able to add the filters, do some drag and drop grouping, those kinds of things. So I want to jump in and show you that right away. If I pull up Popdock in this list here, you can see I happen to have one loaded right now that's pulling from Dynamics GP in this case. And I just wanted to show you that some of the things that you might want to do right off the bat is you might want to add some additional columns, right? Maybe I want to add the landed cost column. I can quickly click on that, add it, and now that data is right there. I may want to change the grouping on this, right? Maybe I want to group it by the location, and so now I have my quantities by the north and the warehouse, and I can see they're all subtotaled and everything like that. Maybe I want to do things like I said, maybe find a specific transaction. So if I wanted to find everything that had ear in the name, all of a sudden we can see that, right? Now we are very quickly able to pull that information. But if I only wanted to come up with a certain subset of the data, I could filter that down before I even got all of the records. And you have an unlimited amount of filters inside of here. And so I can, again, search for fields that I want to have. If I want to add the quantity sold and filter that that has to be greater than 0, for example, or equals 0. How about greater than? But I can keep on going and add as many of these filters as I want. I think this is the power. Some of the past tools, people have had limitations on maybe only up to 4 filters. You can filter this as much as you want, and so happens to be a date field. There's some really powerful things here where I might say, hey, I want to pull everything that has came in this month. So this is a really powerful way of doing this, and then now you have a filter to go on to, I guess, eliminate the data that you don't need and just use it for what you have. The beautiful part is you can create favorites for those as well, and so you can quickly go back to those saved queries. And again, you don't need to have an IT person necessarily always having create new reports for you in this case. All right. So just wanted to establish that right away that this is an end user query tool. It's something that you can use to access whatever data you need. Another piece that I think is really important in this whole mix is that Popdock is pulling data, the data that you need, in a real-time manner. There's not a data warehouse sitting in the middle that's managing this and maybe giving you data that's a day old or 4 hours old or 8 hours old. This is the data that you need to do your job right away. So again, if it's invoices that have just come in, you're going to be able to see that data right away. And what I want to point out is that with all of the connectors that we can have inside of here, it is a real-time connection to whatever data that you need, and we'll establish that. So let me just jump in and show you that real quickly. If we go back here, right, I happen to have one list up already, but what if we didn't want to look at inventory receipts? What if we wanted to go into maybe some sales area instead? And if we wanted to pull up customers or sales transactions, I'll just pull up customers for now. But now that's live data, right? So if new customers were added, it pulled that information live from GP. So as fast as GP in this case can give it to you, we are going to pull that back. But That's GP. What if I flip over to here? Now I'm pulling live opportunities from my Dynamics 365, my CRM system, right? And so now we have a live look into the opportunities that came in coming from CRM. And I could switch that to, hey, let's go look at Business Central, right? So I'm going to pull the posted sales invoices from Business Central. And you'll see whatever API we're connected to, right, we're going to get it back as fast as we can. So this one looks like it's running just a little bit slower today, but that's the whole point. Is this is we're getting it as fast as we can, and it's the freshest data. All right. This is Skippy. When you're not getting data fast enough from your Business Central, he does a few more skips of the rope than we'd probably all like sometimes. Okay, hopefully he's pulling back data soon here. Come on, Skippy. Okay, and there we go. There we finally have some data that came back from the Business Central connection there. So just to show you that that is a perfect example, that is live data, that's not old stale data. Okay, the next point I want to make is that while I've just shown you a couple pieces of data, right? It's GP data, some Business Central data, some Dynamics 365 customer engagement or CRM data. You're not limited to that. You can really pull data from anywhere. And just to further demonstrate this, we're going to jump right back in. If I go back and look at how you add a new connector, so if I go in the connectors section, you can see I have a lot set up already. We don't charge you per connector. You can have as many as you want. So everything from Azure information to some more marketing type things to obviously stuff we were talking about, Business Central and CRM and GP. We can pull in all those kinds of things, but that's not where it ends. There's two things I really want to pull your attention to. One is that we can pull any SQL Server data. To me, this is critical, is that I can have custom applications and I can pull that data and make it available anywhere that it needs to be. Or again, we have a lot of people using a REST service, an API or a web service. And so there's a lot of industry specific applications that we may not have a dedicated connector for, but we can use that to pull in, a few pieces of information, and now that becomes available just like anything else, and we can show that data wherever it needs to be shown. So wanted to show you that there's a vast array of ways of getting at that information. Okay, so now we have any data, but this is where it gets really exciting for me, is that we can display this information anywhere that we want to. So what does that mean today? Well, I can actually have that same interface that I just showed you in the web application for Popdock. I can have that embedded right inside of CRM. Or I can have it information embedded inside of GP. Or I can have it inside of, again, if you're outside the Microsoft world, there's some people using Salesforce. I can embed that data right inside of Salesforce in a matter of seconds. I can embed it inside of Zendesk, right? Now we're talking a help desk application. Maybe I need to see some live CRM information. I can do that pulling Popdock. Or even, I know a lot of us have been spending a lot more time inside of Teams or maybe some other remote application. We can embed whatever data you need to do your job right inside of a Teams application that you're using every day. So let me show you this again in real life. I'm going to go into my CRM account. Right, this is my Giordano's. They're a pizza company that buys from us, and I happen to have some Business Central invoices, in this case, are embedded inside of here. So you get that same interface, right? I can add all the columns that I want, just like we had. I can filter it with an unlimited amount of filters, and it has that exact same interface to see the data that I want inside of here. But I also have embedded my help desk tickets. So I haven't even left my CRM system. I've pulled data from Business Central. I've pulled data from my Zendesk help desk system, and that has the same look and feel of the CRM system that I'm in. We can even give you some graphical display, right? So now I have a live look into a pie chart, basically pulling what a breakdown of products that we sell to this customer. So we can see, looks like about a third of our sales is cheese to the pizza company, which makes sense. And then here is just another example of where we're pulling from a custom SQL database and pulling whatever orders that they have in for their pizzas. So that's one way. But what if I look inside of Business Central? Right here is Popdock embedded inside of Business Central. On this customer, the Giordano's customer now inside of Business Central, I have a live look back into a CRM system and pulling. It could be some invoices, or it could be some opportunities, or whatever you may want it to be. But I'm pulling that live without running an integration, and that's maybe a key point that I haven't talked about too much right to now. This is not a two-way integration, right? We're not duplicating data. We don't have a really expensive process to move data between systems. We're simply visualizing or exposing that data in the system so you can see it right when you need it in a live manner. So that can be attached to, again, places like a customer or vendor or wherever it makes sense inside of Business Central. But we also have, if I go back here, I'll try that one more time. In Business Central, if you can see, we have Popdock embedded inside of here, and so I'm not limited to one list. I could pull from any of the lists that we have inside of here. So if I wanted to see some inventory items, or maybe purchasing, for example, if I wanted to see like the detailed vendor ledger entries, I'm now pulling that data, and the key will be to show you that this looks and feels like Business Central now, right? So whatever data you have inside of here, it is now has the same look and feel of the Business Central application right inside of here, even if it isn't Business Central data. I also mentioned that, right, we could have data that was sitting inside of a Teams application. So here I happen to have on my Popdock team, I happen to have a projects tab, and this is pulling live projects from Dynamics GP. And again, if I wanted to hit refresh, I could do that, and now I have the latest, greatest information on the projects pulling directly from my GP system using Popdock. Okay, that's all great, but let's go back to GP. I know there's a number of GP people that are watching today. We also have this information embedded inside of GP. And so it has the look and feel of GP now. So not like Teams, or not like Business Central or CRM. This now has the same look and feel of GP. So I'm just pulling up customers right now. We have the same kinds of things, right? If we want to move fields around, we can quickly do that. If we want to add some additional columns, we can do that. If we want to do our filters, it's all there. The drag and drop grouping, right? If I want to group by state, I can see that I have a breakdown and totals for each of those different areas. But if I want to switch to different lists, I could switch to some other GP list. So I could switch to inventory. It looks like I only have a couple published for this user. Or I could even switch to something, like I said, totally outside the system. So I could pull all of the Zendesk help desk tickets, right? That's a cloud application. I can pull that. Let me just remove my grouping. I can pull that right inside of GP without ever leaving GP and see that information, and it looks and feels just like GP data. Another thing I want to show you is if I go ahead and pull up a customer inside of here, I happen to have Adam Park open. If I pull up this little widget right here, this is a live look into all of the opportunities right now is what we're seeing from Dynamics CRM, Dynamics 365. And you can see that we're only pulling Adam Park's opportunities. We're not pulling other people's opportunities. It's just Adam Park. So this is pretty cool because without an integration, I'm able to see some information coming from another system like Dynamics CRM. I'll show you another one. I happen to have another widget. We call these widgets that's attached to this. It's just simply pulling all of the sales transactions. So this is actually GP data, but we're pulling it through Popdock, and I'm pulling all of the orders back orders, invoices, whatever, and I can see it in one place for our Adam Park customer. Okay, so hopefully, let me just get out of here. Hopefully that helps you understand how we can take any data and really put it wherever you work. If you spend your day inside of GP, great, we can help you there. If you spend your day inside of Business Central, we can give you whatever data you need to do your job. If you spend your day inside of a CRM system, right, we can also enable that data to be seen right where you need to. Okay, and this brings me to the last point. And that is that this data, we don't just give it to you to say, here you go, here's a list, do something, good luck. It's really, a lot of the things we're doing is we're making this data actionable as well. So what does that mean? Right, is it not, instead of just pulling back data, I can actually do something with it. And so you can see in this screenshot, right, we have a couple of options to open up the customer, open up the invoice. So I'm going to show you this in a real-time manner as well. Okay. So let's go back to this CRM thing that I have, right? And we had ERP orders. So here's all the ERP orders. But I want to show you that there's a details section down at the bottom here. And when I click on a record that has a tracking number, it is actually giving me all of that history, right? This happens to be coming from United States Postal Service, but it could be, FedEx, DHL, Canada Post, whatever it is. We are able to tap into that system and show you, because we have a tracking number attached to that invoice. So this is pretty cool stuff. But I can also do things like I could actually open this invoice right inside of Business Central. And so what you'll see now is it's logging into Business Central, and it's going to pull up that one invoice and drill back right to it. And so we can see all of the details, and there we go. There's all the details of what was ordered on that invoice. If I go to the Zendesk tab, right, what are some of the actions we can do here? Well, you can see that we have a couple of support incidents are out, and maybe these are really important, right? Maybe I'm trying to sell them a new product to put on their pizzas or whatever, or maybe a new kind of cheese or whatever it is. But it looks like we have some unresolved issues that maybe we should take care of before we start to do something like that, try to sell them more data. Well, I can, right from inside of here, I can go in and I could add a comment to this help desk ticket. I can even change the priority. And so now I could say, hey, this is no longer just a normal. This is something that we really got to pay attention to, because they said, hey, we're not buying anything more from you. So we have just updated the Zendesk help desk ticket in real time right from CRM using Popdock. And I think that's the power of some of these kinds of things, is that we're not limited anymore. We have a capability of doing these actions on there. Okay, I'm going to go into Dynamics GP now. And if I just pull up that last list I had, you can see the sales transactions we had for Adam Park. We can also do the actions on there. So again, if you're a GP person, they're called go-tos in your Smartlists, and basically I have access to all of those go-tos, or any new ones that have been created with Smartlist Builder or whatever it may be. But I now can drill back to any of those records that it makes sense to do. So you can see that it doesn't just stop there. Wherever it's embedded, we can still do those types of actions. Okay, I think another really important one is, again, even if you're in something like Teams, I happen to have, I think if I pull up this invoices one, I can do those same kinds of actions here, right? So even though I'm inside of Teams, I could open up that customer or invoice. And that's the power of that, again, this solution. All right, here's the last thing I want to show you, is that I'm just going to hide the details here for a second. I can actually, if I want to, And let me just group this for a second. Now we have our subtotals by location. I can export any of these to Excel if I want. And so you can see it downloaded in seconds. It's going to take me longer to fire up Excel. Here, let's pull it onto the screen. But you can see that what it's done is it's kept all the grouping, it's kept the subtotaling right from that Excel export, and it's incredibly fast and powerful. So I think that is one of those things that a lot of people struggle with, is getting the data into Excel. That's where you are when we talk about something being actionable. That's where a lot of that really does lie, is you're doing those actions inside of Excel in this case. So just in kind of recapping everything, Popdock is a tool that again is for the end users. It allows you to query whatever data you need, and put the data wherever you want it in a real-time manner, and then again, not just look at it, but it allows you to do something with it. And if you have some other questions, send it to your guys at Profit, and I'd be happy to answer that. And I hope you have a great rest of your conference. Thanks, everybody.